Hello and welcome to the Autistic Experience, an autism-based podcast full of guinea pig noises and general nonsense. I mean, is that untrue?
No. Well, hopefully not too many guinea pig noises now.
No,
they're in another room.
we're in an entirely different room, so if they get through here, boy, do we have other problems.
You never know, to be fair.
New episodes come out every Sunday at midday British time, and you can also go follow us on Instagram at the Autistic Experience. My name is Kieran, as always, joined by Chloe.
Hello.
Hello. Now we're going to be having a look a little bit later at some of the autism, ADHD, otherwise neurodivergent-based news stories. But as always, to further convince you of our ongoing place in the human race.
Nice.
Rhyme aside, obviously. We're going to jump into home news.
Yay. We like home news.
We do. So this is basically what we've been doing, whether you're interested or not.
I mean, I suppose the way podcasts work, if you're not interested, you could just skip a little bit.
No, that's impossible to do. It is impossible to. There is no skip button available.
Oh, right, okay.
Not
That's
possible.
a special podcast.
It cannot be done.
My mistake.
Yeah. You're talking crazy.
What have we done?
Well, we've got an update on the dishwasher.
Yeah.
A dishwasher saga from last week, don't we?
Yeah.
So we'll cover that first. So last you heard, we had gotten ourselves a tabletop dishwasher, and after quite a lot of faff, we'd managed to get it put basically into a cupboard, and we'd had it working and draining into a bowl underneath it.
Yeah.
However, after a few days of that, I kind of decided just to do it properly. So just because the sink plug was all scuzzy and nasty and needed replacing because it was starting to leak quite a lot. So it needed doing anyway. So I thought, well, while we're at it, how about we just get one of the sink traps, which is what the little kind of plasticky, swivelly whatnots underneath the sink is called. Get one of those which has an input thing for a dishwasher, so we can plug the pipe that goes out of the dishwasher into that, so we don't actually have to empty that bowl every single morning.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we can get a nice new plug, nice shiny new plug, which isn't horrible.
It's amazing how much difference a new plug can make to the way a sink looks.
Yeah.
Looks so much nicer now.
So the plan was, I go and get that stuff, put it together, bish bash bosh, done, easy. Well, I'm sure you know how this is going to go. Most of it went well. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what bit went wrong.
Well, bearing in mind the theoretic, because the plug I bought was a little bit too wide. It's not that it was too wide, it's that
it's too curvy.
It was too curvy for the sink. So what I kind of needed to do a little bit was make the plug hole bigger in the sink. So luckily I've got a pair of tin snips. And thus began an afternoon of going snip, 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 bash, bash, bash with a hammer.
Bang, yeah.
Grab some pliers, pull, cut. It was all the whole thing, basically just to make this plug hole big enough to fit the new plug, basically. And it took a little while, but I got it done. Hooked everything up nicely, ended up having to cut a little bit of the waste pipe, but that was fine apart from the smell. But that all worked, and we've got a dishwasher we don't need to empty out.
Yeah, it hasn't exploded.
It's not exploded.
It's been set
the
up
sink
for a few
looks
days.
nice.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
But I suppose this is where I should
elaborate
on this, because you're probably thinking,
there was a coda.
That wasn't so hard. Well, let me tell you about what happened the next day while Kieran was at work. And I was in the house by myself, thinking about being super productive. I'd cooked myself something for lunch, and I was like, oh, I'll just quickly give this pan a clean because it's a bit oily. I don't really want to, take up space in the dishwasher with that, so I'll just wash it in the sink. I was being really good, and I walked up to the sink, had my music playing, I was all happy, and then suddenly I felt this horrible, sharp, stabbing sensation in the heel of my foot.
It was Chucky, back for revenge.
Yeah, it could have been, to be fair. And I thought, oh, bloody hell, what's that? Me thinking, I'm used to treading on, like, guinea pig hay and nugs and things, yeah, so, like, pellets and that. So I thought it was probably a guinea pig thing. And I was like, what on earth did I just trod on? That hurt like a bugger. So I lifted my foot up to investigate what I had trodden on. And I tried to take my sock off, and it was pinned to the skin of my foot, which was when I realised that something had gone into my heel. And I was like, oh God, this could be bad. So I went into the living room, got the first aid kit, and I started trying to pull this thing out that was embedded in my heel, because I just thought, like, I need to get it out. Or if I can't get it out, I'm going to have to, like, go to the hospital or something. And as I started to pull it out, I got it a little bit of the way, and then suddenly there was just this eruption, like through my sock.
Like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, it was. Like, my sock was soaked. It went all over my fingers. Like, it was really dramatic. But it was one of those things where, like, once I'd got it all out and I'd wiped it and I'd, put a plaster on, you can't even see the mark.
Yeah, you barely moaned at all.
It was nothing, but, like, it was very dramatic. And it was quite tender for a while, actually, walking on it. But, yeah, it was way smaller. It was way less serious than it looked at first. But I did tread on a piece of aforementioned sink that had been snipped off, and it went into my heel and nearly killed me. So that's what happened with the dishwasher.
Well, at least you're not being dramatic about it. That's the important thing.
I could have got, like, tetanus or an infection, you don't know.
It's stainless steel, famous for giving tetanus.
It was a very, it was a terrifying time. I thought, I'm going to have to call an ambulance in a minute. Or I'm going to have to phone Kieran and get him to come home and be like, I've stabbed myself.
And I would go, with what?
Sink.
How?
I've stabbed myself with the sink.
Did you fold it up?
I trod on the sink.
Right, and on that, should we swap gears and have a look at some of the news stories which have proved interesting?
Go on then.
All right, so
Clutch in.
Change gear. Clutch out.
Slowly.
Acceleration. Let's get a move on. So, as usual, these articles are either written for neurodivergent folk, about neurodivergent folk, or by neurodivergent folk, or I guess of particular relevance to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, this first one comes from Digital Spy, and it was published on the 21st of February. Now, I think this has probably come up in your feeds if you're interested in TV at all. And I have a sneaking suspicion some of you may be. So, in April, the BBC is going to be airing a program called The Assembly, which is a program where they have, I think, 35 neurodivergent journalists, and they interview actor Michael Sheen, known for various roles, such as in Good Omens and 30 Rock and Staged and quite a lot of other things.
We could be here for a while.
Oh, he was in Twilight, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh dear. We don't want to talk about Twilight.
Well, his roles have gotten better.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually knew many, many years ago, I think it was Michael Sheen's cousin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Well, he said he was Michael Sheen's cousin. with the same surname, and they look quite similar. So I was
Maybe it
prepared to
was.
believe him.
Yeah. Well, let's just say it was because it's cool.
Yeah.
And
Or
who cares?
nephew or whatever.
Who cares
Relative.
what everyone else thinks?
Yeah. I choose to believe it, therefore it is true.
Yeah.
So the Assembly is an adaptation of the French show, which is called Les Rencontres de Papota.
Very nice.
I'm assuming that's right. And it's just neurodivergent journalists interviewing eminent people. It went on to become France's most watched unscripted show of 2022. So this was in the days before The Traitors, obviously. And they've had adaptations in Spain, Denmark, and Poland. So I imagine it'll be interesting to watch. So it's being made in honor of Autism Acceptance Week, which is, I think, probably the first week of April. Because I know Autism Acceptance Day is the 2nd of April. Because, as we said, it would be a cruel joke if it was the day before.
It would. I mean, I think we should watch this Assembly thing because it says that the journalists can basically ask
anything.
whatever they want.
Yeah.
And the way that our minds work, I can imagine that's going to be quite a ride.
I imagine your first question would be, is David Tennant a good kisser?
Maybe like 10 years ago, that would have been my main point of interest, I think, yeah. But
What your main point of interest now?
what of Michael Sheen? Probably, yeah, to be fair, I'd probably say, what was it like doing the kissing scene with David Tennant?
But like nothing we haven't done before in the trailers.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it'd be good fun and the potential to go quite crazy in a good way. Because I'm hoping there'd be quite random things pop up, knowing the autistic brain and how it works.
Well, we'll see, won't we? So keep an eye out for that. At a guess, first week of April. I don't think actual broadcast details have been given out so far, but no, it'll be on the BBC and iPlayer just in April, it says, but my guess would be first week. Alright, moving on to the second story for today. Have you ever wanted to work on a farm?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good news for those who live in Durham, or County Durham, in fact.
Damn.
Because a guy called Dave Wild is working on developing a farm site with the aim of basically only employing autistic people.
60 people, did it say?
Yeah, it says so it'd be 77 acres, and it quite helpfully puts 31 hectares, which is an even more obscure area. It doesn't put it in football pitches, which is the standard journalistic equivalent. It's either football pitches or areas the size of Wales.
Yeah. Which is a really useless measurement, actually, because Wales is such an uneven shape that you've got to think about how two Waleses fit together.
Wales doesn't tessellate.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you supposed to figure that one out unless Wales is made into a nice, even shape?
Yeah, I mean, it's sand off the edges.
Is there anything there anyway?
Not in those bits, no, not really. So the plan, from what I can tell, is like there is a lot to do. But the eventual hope is that it'll have, walks, wetlands, meadows, forests, and it says a rare breed farm park. So they want to get 28 pregnant ewes, cattle, goats, and large black pigs.
Ooh.
Which I know you'll be particularly happy about.
I think I might need to move to Durham so I can be a pig keeper.
Yeah. So it's called New Warlands Farm. So it may still be a little while before it's possible to go and visit. But I reckon that'd be a good time.
Yeah, I do as well. Because it said that they were going to do kind of ethical farming and they were going to have a farm shop and like it's a kind of working place. It's not just like a little petting zoo kind of come and visit and stroke a pig. Like it's a proper farm with a shop and everything. And like I imagine that the jobs that are going to be available going to include kind of animal husbandry and actual farming, like physically kind of crop planting, crop harvesting, working in the shop, all that. And it's a pretty ideal place for autistic people to work because it's outside, it's probably kind of countryside-y, so it's a bit more peaceful. And the rest of the team would all be autistic as well. So you'd probably, hopefully, fit in quite nicely.
Yeah, and then also in terms of the actual activities. So if you were doing like crop planting, for example, you basically just do that by yourself.
Yeah.
You just get on and go.
So it could be quite relaxing, really,
Yeah,
quite
so,
easy to
there
manage.
are quite good routines to the whole thing. You know, you do certain things at certain times every single day.
Yeah. And some of it's quite physical as well, which is a thing that I know I struggle with and probably a lot of other people struggle with, that doing any sort of physical activity / exercise is very difficult. So if you've got to do it for work, then it keeps you fit and active as well. And you don't even have to think about doing it, basically. So yeah, I think it's good and I want to work there. I am moving to Durham and I'm going to go and work on the farm.
Well, until that happens, let's move on and have a look at our last article of today. So this is news from Finland, Germany, that kind of area.
Oh yeah, they're just next door.
Yeah. So this is about a game called Full ADHD, which was initially developed in Finland, developed by Scion Games in partnership with pharmacy group Takeda, and it's kind of an anime-like, more of a story-based visual novel.
A lot of the visual novel games tend to be Japanese anime themed, so if you are aware of the Danganronpa universe, that is a good example of visual novel. Oh, there's a very good one called Doki Doki Literature Club that I highly recommend.
Okay. So the idea of this game is to help people without ADHD empathize with people with it. So it has you play as someone with ADHD, and then the whole story is based around, and the whole world is based around those experiences. So you kind of experience it as the character does. And it had some very interesting statistics that went along with it, because it says that when it comes to ADHD awareness campaigns, the game generated a 310% higher click-through rate compared to traditional campaigns. So if it was just like this is how ADHD feels, or blah, 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 if you play the game instead and you actually kind of experience it, then you're more likely to research more about it or understand more or want to understand more about it, which is, I think, especially important with ADHD because there's, we mention it seemingly every week that there is this massive stigma still about it. People think it's just like the naughty boy disease.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
Yeah. And it's really, really hard, I think, to explain it to people. Because if people don't experience the symptoms, then how are they going to be able to imagine what it is like to experience them just from kind of descriptions or being told, like, this is what ADHD people feel?
Yeah, it's one of those things that video games is actually perfect for, but it's been severely underutilized in that space, because you play as like different characters with different experiences to your own, and it is the perfect receptacle for telling those kinds of stories. So, I mean, one that's done it very well and has had quite a lot of praise for it is the Hellblade game, where the main character you play as experiences psychosis. And one of the things they do in that is have binaural audio, which, not to get too far into audio theory, if you're playing on headphones, it makes it sound like the voices the character hears is in the room with you, basically. It's much more naturalistic.
Yeah, it's very good. Quite creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the article was saying that your character in this game has sort of various like stats and things that can affect like his energy level and his ability to focus and things like that, and that those can just sort of randomly deplete and like affect your abilities to do things in the game. And I just think that's quite clever, really, like because it's quite true. So it's a nice way to represent it, and I really want to try it, but it's not available in England yet.
No, not yet. They said they're working on getting it released in different countries at the moment, but I think it's only at the moment Finland and Germany, because it's only just been released in Germany now. So give it time; it might come over this direction.
Hopefully.
But no, I'm just imagining like the hunger bar getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's like a button that says go eat, and you press it and it goes, no.
Yeah.
Cannot.
Yeah, like you're too committed to the task that you're currently doing and you can't possibly leave it. Despite the fact that you're actually starving.
Yeah. Your health is ticking down. It's like eat.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm too hungry.
Yeah.
I can't eat.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to have a look at it and see how relatable it is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how you would, similar to Hellblade, how you would try and do like an autism-based or like autistic character-based game.
I'd imagine you'd probably have to introduce like slight sort of disadvantages if you're doing things in certain environments. So like if there's a lot of people around, maybe you could just make like the screen a bit kind of vignetted around the edges or a bit blurry, or like if your character's in like a bright place, like it's really glary, things like that.
Or alternatively, you could do like a city building game, but more of like you build like a sensory complex. Kind of like 2 Point Hospital.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 Point.
So, you have different people with different sensory needs, and you kind of have to try and build your place to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Because like if they're all neurodivergent in some way, then it would just show you exactly how many different variations you can have.
Yeah. So like you could have a list of traits, and then each character that comes into your whatever the facility is has just like a randomized combination of those traits and like severity of those traits. So
because
it
feels like all the people say they're all autistic, but there are however many potential traits, and they all have some combination.
Yeah. So you just get a random assortment and quite a big variety of possible characters. It would be interesting.
Yeah. And then outside of the building, you could build like green spaces and like walks and little animal areas you can go into and spend some time with the animals. And then inside you have different variations of lights, which because like some people prefer brighter lights, some people prefer dimmer lights, some people like loud ambiences, some like it quiet.
Yeah.
So having to try and fix all that together, almost like an Animal Crossing thing as well, building specific things for specific people. So maybe an Animal Crossing style one would be better than a theme hospital one, because then if you've got maybe a limited number of people you'd interact with in the game, rather than just a tiny little sim person just wandering around with different meters on. People you actually interact with, there's dialogue and things, and like then you would help build their houses and make them things to make their lives a bit better.
Yeah, and like position it
Yeah.
in the right place. So, you could put them in like a woody area, you could put them by like the coast of an island, or put them like nearer the centre and like far away from other houses or close to another house. Or,
I mean, they don't even have to be like human people.
No,
they could be like
animals.
like anthropomorphized animals, or like monsters, or anything basically. They could be fruit. like anthropomorphized fruit.
That would be quite funny.
Mr. Banana can't get into his house because the door is the wrong shape.
I was going to say about Mr. Banana. I was going to say autistic banana, but autistic pear does not like the material of their carpet and therefore is refusing to go into their house.
Autistic melon and autistic lemon are twins, but one of them is dyslexic. Or maybe they're both dyslexic and autistic lemon is actually a melon.
Yeah.
And autistic melon is a lemon.
That would be quite good. I like that. Mr. Apple doesn't want his house to be too close to Mr. Orange's because he has sensitivity to smells. Mr. Orange smells too strong.
When Mr. Orange peels himself at the end of the day.
Mr. Apple gets overstimulated.
It's a very strong smell when Mr. Orange depeels.
Oh, God. Is that like him getting undressed at the end of the day, putting his pyjamas on?
Yeah.
Just peeling himself.
Yeah.
If I had to peel myself at the end of the day, that would cause some sensory problems.
Well, yeah, because you're not an orange.
If I was an orange and I had to peel myself at the end of the day. Maybe this could be a question for Michael Sheen. If you were an orange and you had to peel
do you think
yourself...
you could peel yourself? How would your dream autism game go? Like, I think we've got a pretty solid pitch for our Animal Crossing style autism game.
Yeah. I think the style would
They don't
also...
all have to be fruit, I guess.
There could be. I think animals would be good.
I think
Or
monsters
people.
would be pretty good. Like, vampires, zombies, werewolves.
Kind of like misfits.
Yeah, because they're all basically societal outcasts. And hey, look!
Yeah!
It's a me!
I think most autistic people probably get on quite well with Animal Crossing style games as well. So if you're looking for one that's suitable for an autistic crowd, that's probably the vibe to go for.
Probably. But with that, I think that's probably where we should end this episode of the Autistic Experience. See, what did I tell you at the beginning? There's autism and then nonsense. Autism and nonsense. That's the way to go.
That's basically like if we were a duo, like a comedy duo, autism and nonsense.
Yeah, but then which one's which?
At the minute, only your autism. So I'd have to be nonsense.
You'd have to be nonsense, yeah. But a couple of weeks, right?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
If suddenly you have to get kicked off the podcast.
Can you imagine? How embarrassing.
So yeah, that's where we will end this episode of the Autistic Experience. Thank you so much for listening. A new episode will, fingers crossed, be with you next Sunday at midday British time. You can always go follow us on Instagram for any kind of updates or random stuff which comes along. So go to @theautisticexperience on Instagram for that. I'm not sure what else we have to say now, apart from should the opportunity present itself, you go get that free lunch.